My name's Chris Follows. Thank you, Sally. I'm actually here as a technical coordinator in this capacity, but I'm here to talk about the DIAL project, which is like my other job. I've got two jobs. I used to have about 6 at one point. So it's quite nice just having the two jobs. So I'm 0.5 at Chelsea and 0.5 doing this project, which is the digital integration into arts learning, which is, in a nutshell, is addressing digital literacies at UAL in every way. And the term digital literacies is, I thought, this is quite apt. I'm trying to think of a way to address digital literacies. And the term digital literacies is a difficult one, I feel. And so I've been thinking of all these and actually coming to reality. Actually, yeah, the war on terror, the war on drugs, the war... In a way, these are sort of really hard to grasp, these concepts. And digital literacies is one of those that's really difficult to grasp. And for me, that's why I feel the heart of the project that I'm trying to run is a really tricky one to communicate. So I've just literally knocked this slide up just before coming up on here. So, and this kind of came out again out of these conversations today, which made me think actually, yeah, we really need to stress these barriers. And I think this fast, complex, changing field is one of the big things that actually digital, the progression of digital, it just changes constantly. And I think trying to keep up all the stress of that is quite difficult. The unknown and these new roads to travel, I think a lot of what we're doing within these digital, exploring digital literacies is totally unknown. Time is a big one. Who's going to engage with digital literacies if we're already talking about that we don't have enough time to do the other stuff? Where does digital literacies come on your, personal, professional development on that list? I'm sure it's quite high, but when have you got the time to engage with it? And also the cultural, social side of that as well in engaging, keeping up with that, not just the academic side or the technical and the teaching, learning and teaching side, but actually the social and cultural side as well. So skills as well, it's not easy to define in terms of skills. You've got hard skills. You can go to lynda.com and learn some digital tutorials. You can go online, you can Google anything and you'll find it, almost. But what you won't find is the soft skills, these bits that we're doing every day that we're working out. And I think that's kind of quite tricky to find that stuff. One of the big things that came out of the evaluation was fear and anxieties, and I think that's another huge area. Is there's a lot of people that have got a lot of anxieties about digital, and I think as time goes on, and we start to see a separation almost. I'm not saying where that separation is, but you've got people that are flying with digital and people that are pretty much getting left behind. Is that a problem or not? I don't know. And the barriers of big one is equipment. We've had the desktop strategy review. Did it address everything? I don't know. I don't think so. And so we've got to dig a bit deeper there. Lack of support again. This goes back to hard skills and soft skills, but also how we deliver training, how we support people. Does the current system work? Probably not. Understanding what this sort of means, and like I said at the beginning of the digital literacy thing, we need to understand what terms mean rather than just bantering these terms around. Okay, so what's it mean for us in the future? Is anyone aware, obviously you're all aware, hopefully, that we're getting a new Moodle system. Has anyone seen this map? Okay, so does anyone ever go to Blackboard? So on Blackboard, if you ever go one day, on the front page there's moving into Moodle, this website which basically says about the new Moodle, new VLE. Okay, now I think this is a huge problem for technical staff because I'm working alongside at CELTAD with a new VLE implementation team. And I've just got this perspective at the moment that the technical aspects are not involved at all in the process. Well, I'm seeing academic delivery of the course. Isn't the technical delivery of the course important as well? Should that not be alongside the academic? Isn't this what we've been talking about? So I guess one of the big things that I'm concerned about at the moment, especially with these new systems coming in, is where the academic sits along where the academic sits alongside the technical. Why not? Should be the other way around. How they sit alongside each other, I guess, is a big. So has anyone actually been involved in the new Moodle or been consulted about the new Moodle system? How many in this room, would we say? You've got one in this room of how many? 80. Okay, 1 in 80 been consulted about the new Moodle system that is going to deliver your new learning and teaching. That might be because they're road testing it on a small scale at LCC, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be involved, I don't think. I don't know. So the GIST project is a 2-year project. We're 1 year into it already. It's cultural change. So we spent the first year doing a lot of cultural change. The cultural change we did was to basically say to UAL that actually we need some sort of digital structure. We need to look at UAL's digital literacies. How is digital being integrated into UAL as a whole? Who's responsible for digital? Just totally, across the board. So we did a lot of that, a lot of workshops and meetings with sort of senior people at UAL. And our other key objective was graduate employability, which is again big on the agenda. So we had 2 quite specific areas to address, and I think that's quite important because as a project we can't address all digital literacies. It's meant to be nice and simple. It's 1 page of everything. It just gives a sort of work package of where we are at the moment. This is on the main blog, which I'll show you in a minute. But it basically says, this is like a summary of the first year, basically saying what our achievements were, what we want to achieve, and some of the obstacles that we've encountered, which I'll hopefully get a chance to talk about. Okay, so basically on the blog, which has anyone heard of the myblog.arts? Have they been on it? So great. So that was in that portfolio package of the new VLE, and the new myblog.arts is fantastic. So this address here is the dial.myblog.arts. If you just dial UAL in Google, it'll come up, and we've got all the projects that we're basically doing in dial. So the kind of projects that we're doing is basically looking for staff to come forward and basically say they want to do this. So we're not going out and actually saying to people, you really need to start addressing this. We're hopefully wanting people to come forward to us and say, I've got this problem. This is a concern of mine. I want to address this problem. And what we do through Dial is basically address that. And one of those things that we're doing is, again, trying to define across UAL, saying actually the Dial project on its own cannot address this. We need sort of the whole of UAL behind this, basically. Okay, so this was a nice review I got at the course director's UAL. So you make me feel physically sick when I hear you talk. Luckily, you carried on and said about using digital. So, but this is the kind of feedback we want. It's fantastic because I think there's a lot of people that sit there in silence. And it was great that this director actually put his hand up and declared this. And since then, we're going on to do 3 major projects with this course team, which is including 90 students. And I think that's the way things can open up. So going back to these small projects, self-identified, given time to develop, grassroots, which I think is important, things coming up from the ground up, problem-based, so yeah, interest-based, and this idea of the community as a practice, so forming communities, open communities, so you can sort of walk into this community as well, if you want. I'm trying to see what time. I'm probably at the 10 minutes now. So again, I've talked about that a little bit, so I'll flip that. Again, the community as a practice keeps coming up, and I think what we discovered from our evaluation of year 1 was basically that it's not so much about resources, it's stuff you can, tangible stuff which you can just take, like handbooks and all that. This is the resources are actually us. We're the resources, and the students are the resources, and pulling us together in these sort of communities is really valuable, and one of the things that we've managed to address. So I'll just quickly flick through these. So desktop strategy, again, one of the areas that we're seeing more and more is that, you know, mobile technology, how does that enhance learning and teaching in your studios and workshops? So we'll be addressing that. Okay, so I've just got one quick example before I finish, in line with the VLE. Basically, when I came to Chelsea, we were looking at a way to convey information to the students, because at the moment the communication was pretty terrible. So the groups that I've been working with all basically created their own sort of portals in myblog.arts, which was fantastic. For a lot of them, this is the first time they've been online and putting information online openly. I've got one example here with a digital print studio, which was Jeff's. So basically, it was just a basic information. This should really be in the VLE. This should be in the Moodle. And hopefully it will be in the future. But at the moment, there's no other way to deliver this information. So feedback, this was other feedback, again, looking at basically once you're open and online, you can then start to talk to each other. And this is the kind of feedback when someone wants to know something, you get kind of feedback like that. And this is Jeff, who's here today, basically sent this comment, and I think this is great because Jeff has engaged, well, they've all engaged with this blog, and what everyone's doing now is obviously looking forwards to take that forward. So it's not just about putting information online, they're now starting to think about putting resources online. You know, it's progressive. It sort of opens new doors, new avenues. And that's it. I'll end there. Thank you very much.